AICTE Training and Learning Academy sponsored online faculty development program on nature-inspired optimization techniques. We have with us Dr. Harish Sharma, who will be taking a session on advancement in spider monkey optimization. Dr. Harish Sharma is an associate professor in Department of Computer Science and Engineering at Rajasthan Technical University, Kota. He is secretary and one of the founder members of Soft Computing Research Society of India. He is also a lifetime member of Cryptology Research Society of Indian Statistical Institute, Kolkata. He is an associate editor of International Journal of Swarm Intelligence, IJSI, published by IndeScience. He has also edited special issues of journals Memtic Computing and Journal of Experimental and Theoretical Artificial Intelligence. He has received Junior Research Fellowship Award from Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, CSIR, Delhi. He has contributed to more than 105 papers published in various international journals and conferences. He has organized a number of workshops and conferences, namely National Conference on Computational Mathematics in Engineering and 26th Annual Conference of Rajasthan Ganit Parishad and Faculty Development Program at Rajasthan Technical University, Kota. His primary area of interest is nature-inspired optimization techniques. He also has interest in swarm intelligence-based algorithms, evolutionary algorithms, security, histopathological image analysis, pattern recognition, and medical imaging. We are very grateful to have you with us, sir. I'm sure we will learn a lot from you today. Now, I would request you to please take over the session.
Hello.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yeah. Thank you, Shika.
Thank you, sir.
Now I'm sharing my slides. I hope it's visible.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yes. So in this class, we will discuss about the spider monkey optimization algorithm. It is basically one of the recent swarm intelligence-based algorithms and falls under the category of nature-inspired algorithms. And as we know that these algorithms are used to solve the optimization problems. We can see that optimization means finding the maxima or minima. So we know that the any problem can be converted into the optimization problems. Okay, any problems we can derive derive in terms of the optimization problems. So in optimization problems we have to identify the optimal solutions in terms of either it will be the maxima or minima. So if any we have a mathematical modeling of any optimization problems. Okay, let's here you can see this is an example of an optimization problem. Fx equals to x1 square plus x2 square. It is a very trivial example. Okay, so here fx is the objective function. X1 and x2 are the our decision variables or dimensions. So we have a two-dimension problem. We have a two-dimension problem. Okay. Then these are the such boundaries of these variables, such boundaries of these variables x1 and x2, and our goal is to identify the values of x1 and x2 such that we can get the optimized value of this objective function. So these if this information is at our hand, okay, then we can solve any such kind of problem using the available nature-inspired algorithms. So the first question is that why NIA? Why NIA? Why nature-inspired algorithms? Why we should use nature-inspired algorithms to solve the optimization problem? So if as you know, there I think there is disturbance from side. Okay, this whiteboard is visible. Hello.
No,
Not
sir,
yes,
it's not visible.
but the whiteboard is not visible.
Yeah. Okay, is there any facility to sharing entire screen? Yeah, screen one. I think it is visible now.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Yeah. And now I can switch to the slide also. This one.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Yeah. So as we know that we have two kind of approaches at our end. One is the deterministic approaches and another is non-deterministic, or we can say the probabilistic approaches. So if we have a deterministic approaches at our hand by which we can get the exact solution of the problem, it means here the set of steps are fixed. So for the same input, we will get the same output. We will get the same output. So if we have such kind of strategies available at our hand to solve the given problem, to solve the given optimization problem, in that case we will use the deterministic approaches only. We will not go to the non-deterministic approaches. Nowadays I can see that many researchers are applying the non-deterministic approaches to such kind of problems for which already we have the deterministic approaches available, and we can get the exact solution. Using these deterministic approaches we can get the exact solution, because the non-deterministic approaches gives the approximate solutions. We know that these algorithms give the approximate solutions, and for the same input we have the different output. Then why one will use these algorithms if there is any kind of deterministic approach is available at our end? Okay, so remember, if we have any deterministic approach, we should not apply the non-deterministic or probabilistic approach to solve that problem. Okay, so one thing is clear, that these are the approximation algorithms. Okay, and we require the objective function, a definition of objective function at our end. These are the meta heuristics. So we require the definition of the objective problem, and in what kind of information are required, that are the mathematical modeling of the function, objective function. We should aware about the unknown variables of that objective function. Here we can see that x1 and x2 are the unknown variables. Okay, they are search space. Okay, if these three things we know, then we can solve any kind of problems using the available nature-inspired algorithms. I hope it is clear. So a formal definition of nature-inspired algorithms are that these are the population-based stochastic meta-heuristics. Okay, population based stochastic meta heuristics. So here population means a group of individuals, group of individuals a group of individuals. It means in these algorithms a group of individual, a swarm involves, and the group of individuals learns, apply peer-to-peer learning, learn from each other to get the solution. Okay, to get the solution. That's why these algorithms are called the population-based algorithms. That is the reason these are algorithms are called the population-based algorithms, or we can say that these are the swarm-based algorithms. Swarm based or population based algorithms. Okay, then the another term is stochastic algorithm. These are not the random algorithms, these are the stochastic algorithms. Stochastic algorithms means these algorithms apply the intelligence. It means their previous position, their current and previous position, and random component. Okay, these algorithms apply the individuals of these algorithms apply their own intelligence as well as the random component. Okay, own intelligence as well as the random component. Random component plays a crucial role. They basically random component helps the individuals to avoid the trap into the local optima. Okay, to avoid the situation like premature convergence, or we can say that the stagnation. So these are the stochastic population based algorithms. Okay, another term is here meta heuristics. As we know that meta heuristic means these are the general purpose algorithms. So we can solve any kind of problem. It doesn't matter that the problem belongs to civil, mechanical, and electrical, electronics, any kind, any field. The problem should be at our end having a predefined mathematical model. We should aware about the search space, search boundaries, as well as we should know the unknown variables. Okay, in that mathematical model for which we have to apply the our natural spiral algorithms. If the information, if we have at our end the information about the problem, we can solve any kind of problems, any kind of optimization problem using this natural spiral algorithm. Okay, definitely these are the approximation algorithms. So first we should check that there should not be a deterministic strategies available to solve the problem which is at our end. Okay. Further, the natural spiral algorithms are developed by taking inspiration from some natural phenomena, Okay, so if these conditions are met, then the algorithms can be called the nature inspired algorithms. So in nature inspired algorithms, the individuals update their positions. In nature spiral algorithms, the individuals update their positions by taking knowledge, or while learning from the neighboring individuals. Okay, this is called the knowledge of the environment. Then the individual's previous history of states, how the individuals is moving, okay, in past, okay, and what is its current position, and then the previous history of states of the individual's neighborhood. Okay, so while learning from the environment, these are the there is basically two components in learning. When an individual update their position, that individual learn from the society. Okay, so there are two components. One is the cognitive component. Cognitive component means learning from self. Okay, self persistence, and another is the social component. Social component means learning from the other members, other social members, the neighboring members, okay, the remaining group members. So these two components basically help an individual to decide the next step. As we know that in all the swarm intelligence or all the nature spiral algorithms, a simple phenomena exists how an individual search the optimum solution. Let's suppose we have this is our optimum solutions, and we have here 5 solutions: S1, S2, S3, let's suppose S4 and S5. These solutions have to search this global optima. It's considered a global optimum solutions. Okay, so they will update their position and move towards the global optimum solution. In every NIA, especially in the swarm intelligence based algorithms, SIA, in every SIA we can say that the new position of any individual will depends on the old position plus step size. Old position plus step size. This is the step size, and you will be surprised that 96% research in these fields will based on this to decide this step size. How intelligently this step size should be decided, that the individuals can explore the search space as well as exploit the surrounding areas. Okay, listen carefully. Explore the search space as well as exploit the surrounding areas. Okay. Hello. And there is some disturbance from background. So here you can see that this is the search space. Let's suppose the search space is your same as mentioned in the example, -5 to 5, x1, x2, or this is the 5. Okay, so here you can see that in this search space, the new positions are decided. Are decided on the basis of the old positions plus the steps, and it is the same equation. Same equation will be used in all the algorithm. Same equation will be used in all the swarm intelligence based algorithms, all the swarm intelligence, population intelligence, okay, based algorithms. So we have to identify intelligently this step size so that the individuals can cover whole search space. You know, there are the two properties in One is the exploration, and another is exploitation. Exploration and exploitation. Let's suppose this is our search space, and we have to identify the true solution, or we can say the optimum solutions. Okay, so the individuals should. Let's suppose we have 5 solutions that I mentioned earlier: S3, S4, and let's suppose it's F5. So individuals should cover a whole search space and get these optimum solutions. And for that they should, as they have to cover all search space. For that, the step size should be, they have to take a step. So for that, for the exploration means visiting the whole search space, visiting the entire search space, and for that the step size should be large enough. Step size should be large enough of the individuals. Okay, and exploitation means searching the surrounding area. If this is the S3, and that individual have to search in its vicinity, the entire vicinity, so that there should be no such point exist in which the possibilities of optimal solutions may exist, and that solution may skip that one. Okay, so searching in vicinity, for that the step size should be small. Step size should be small. Okay, so you can see that these two properties, exploration and exploitation, these two properties are contradictory in nature. One is saying that step size should be large, another is saying that step size should be small. Because if we will keep step size large, then there may be a situation of skipping the two solutions. Let's suppose the S1 moves from here to here, then S1 here, and then the next step here. And there should be a chance that the S1 may skip this solution. Okay. So for that, there should exploitation of this nearby area as well as the exploration. And the algorithm NIA considered an efficient algorithm. NIA will consider as an efficient algorithm which balances these two properties, the exploration and exploitation. And maximum research is going on in this field. The researchers are developing some intelligent mechanism to decide the step size during the runtime, in runtime, so that the individual intelligently explore the search space as well as exploit the nearby areas. Okay, explore the whole search space as well as exploit the nearby areas. So this is the basic terminologies that are used by the nature-inspired algorithms during the solution search process. Okay, so here you can see for that example, fx equals to x1 square plus x2 square. Here you can see that we have a 3 local minima, okay, and 1 global minima. Okay, so here the individuals, if we have 5 solutions, let's suppose here S1, then S2, S3, S4, and S5. S5. Okay, we have 5 solutions. You can see which solution is at the best positions now in this swarm. In this swarm, in this population, we have 5 solutions: S1 to S3, S4, and S5. Okay, these are the solutions. Then which solution is considered as the best position? You can see that the S2 is the value of, if we are considering it as a minimization problem. We are considering it as a minimization problem, then it is S2. S2's value of S2 is minimum as compared to the other solutions. So it will be considered as a better solutions as compared to the other solutions. Okay, and this will start moving towards the local optima while considering that it is moving towards the global optima or optimum solutions. Okay, and also this solution will also influence to the other solutions like S1, okay, S4, S3, and S5 to move towards its direction. Okay, and there may be a situation then when all the solutions S1, S2, S3, S4, and S5, all the solutions may converge. All the solutions may converge to this location. All the solutions may converge to this location. Okay, and this situation is called the premature convergence. Premature convergence. Premature convergence at the local minima. Premature convergence at the local minima. So this situation is called the premature convergence at the local minima. Okay. The one of the form of this premature convergence is also called the stagnation condition. Stagnation or premature convergence is almost same. Okay. But stagnation may occur at stagnation may occur. Hello. Stagnation may occur at any point of this such process. Any point of this such process. It may be here. Okay. It means all the solutions will converge at that particular point. Okay. And in case of local minima, it is considered as the premature convergence.
Excuse me, Dr. Harish. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I think one participant, Mr. Ashish, has some query. Mr. Ashish?
Yes, please.
No, please sir, continue, sir. Please. Sorry, sir. Continue, please.
Harish sir, your mic is muted.
Someone muted me. Great. I think now I'm audible, na?
Yes,
Hello.
sir.
So I
Yes,
don't know
sir.
from when I was muted. I don't know actually.
It was my mistake, sir.
No, it's okay, sir. But from which slide? I think yeah, from here, na? So in yeah, okay. In the hello, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Thank you. So in the solution search process, Let's suppose this is our fx equals to x1 square plus x2 square. Okay, it was our problem. That should be solved by the nature spider algorithm, or we are saying here SMO, spider monkey optimization algorithm. Okay, here we know that we have a two dimension x1 and x2, and the search space is -5 to 5. So initially in this our search space, these solutions, 5 solutions will be randomly initialized. Okay, in all the algorithms this step is common. Okay, so let's suppose here we have a two dimension x1, x2 and 5 solutions s1, s2, s3, s4 and s5. We are randomly initializing it in this search space -5 to 5. So here it may be -3.2, 1.7, 2.3, 1.2, 1.6, -2.6, -3.2, 4.1, 3.9, 1.1. Let's suppose these are the 5 solutions. Then we have to identify which solution is best in terms of if we are going to solve the minimization problem. The minimum objective value solution is considered as the best solution, and this is our objective function. Okay, so first we will calculate the objective value. We will calculate the objective value of every solution. Here S1 is the one solution, so -3.2 and 1.7. The value of these dimensions will be put into this objective function, and we will get the objective value. Here you can see that the f1 will be -3.2 whole square plus 1.7 whole square. Let's suppose the value is around 19. Okay, so here the value will be 19. Let's suppose here 16, 12, 20 and 21. Let's suppose these are the objective values of these 5 solutions. So we can easily identify by applying the greedy selection, by comparing the individuals, that the S3 solution is the best solution. S3 solution is the best solution among these 5 solutions. Okay, S3 solution will be considered as the best solution because it is having the lowest objective value. Okay, so one thing is clear, that we have to calculate the objective value. Okay, we have to put the solutions into the objective function. So this process, calculating the objective value, is called the function evaluation. We are basically here calling a function. Okay, this is called the function evaluation. Function evaluation. It is very important term here, because I hope you have gone through with the particle swarm optimization and some other algorithms, in which some algorithms in a single iteration, they call a function one time. Okay, they call the objective function one time, and some algorithms in the same iteration call the objective function 2 or 3 times. Okay, so on the basis of iteration, or some call it generation. On the basis of iteration or generation, we cannot compare these algorithms. Okay, because in a single iteration they are performing multiple tasks. They are evaluating the objective function multiple times. So on the basis of iterations, we cannot compare these swarm intelligence based algorithms. So nowadays these algorithms are compared on the basis of function evaluations. How many times the algorithm is calling the objective function? How many times these algorithms are calling to the objective function? And the algorithm which provide the best result in the minimum number of function evaluations, is considered as the efficient algorithm. So basically function evaluation will be here we will treat it as a termination criteria also. termination criteria. Termination criteria. Okay, termination criteria means when we will stop the algorithm to work. Okay, instead of iterations, we can also apply the number of function evaluations as a termination criteria. Okay, now we have these 5 solutions. Then we have the objective value of this. Now we apply the algorithm to update their positions. We will apply the algorithms to update their positions so that they can move towards the global optima. They may move towards the global optima. Okay, and these algorithms may differ. Here the differences occurs. The ABC position update process differ than the SMO, and that also differ from the particle swarm optimization, genetic algorithm, differential evolution algorithm. And all the algorithms basically having some mechanism by which the individuals update their positions. Okay, so here we are talking about the spider monkey optimization algorithm. So you may see here that initially the individuals are uniformly randomly initialized in the search space. Then they will start converging towards the our global minima, and they may converge at their positions. Okay, we already have discussed these things. So now formally we are now coming to the spider monkey optimization algorithm that is developed by taking inspiration from the intelligent foraging behavior of spider monkeys. Okay, it is a swarm intelligence based algorithm. Swarm intelligence means an intelligence evolved in a swarm, in a group. Okay, in these algorithms, in swarm intelligence based algorithms, basically the single individual, the single entity is considered as a full entity, having no knowledge, having no intelligence. Okay, but when that entity behave in a society, okay, in a group, in a swarm, shows the intelligent behavior. Okay, shows the intelligent behavior. That's why these algorithms are called the swarm intelligence based algorithms, in which the individuals learn peer to peer with each other and perform the task intelligently. You may see the flock of birds, you may see the school of fish, the bee colony. Okay, here we are taking the example of spider monkeys. Okay, their foraging behavior. You know, the spider monkeys social structure is based on the fusion social structure. Fusion social. Many animals also follow this social structure, and one of the category is spider monkeys. Okay, fusion social structure. Okay, so here you may see that fusion means the dividing a large group into smaller sub-parties. Fusion means dividing a large group into smaller subgroups. Okay, and fusion means a, to combine all the subgroups to make a large group. So these spider monkeys, a day behavior, a day food foraging behavior, a day food foraging behavior of these spider monkeys falls under this social structure, fusion social structure based animals. Okay, in these okay, first some of the basic terminologies here about these social structure of spider monkeys, that the fusion social structure based animals are social and live in the group of 40 to 50 individuals. In a group, the individuals are 40 to 50. Okay, and the swarm may reduce when there is any foraging competition. If there is some kind of scarcity of food, then the group leader divide the whole group into the smaller group, divide the large group into a subgroup, a subpart. Okay, and a female global leader, a female that will be the leader of the group, leads the group and is responsible for searching food sources. Basically, not only the female control the group, but also the leader will be responsible for the such directions of the food sources, in which directions the large groups should such the food so that they may get the plenty of food, and there should not be a such kind of competitions and fight, so that they have to divide the group into the smaller subgroups. Because if after dividing into subgroups, there should be some kind of competition, some territorial boundaries also. They form also some territorial boundaries in which they will not allow the other other group members to such food. Okay, so if she is not able here, if she is not able to get enough food for that group, she divide the group into smaller subgroups, and here the minimum group member should be 3 to 8. Okay, if the group members reach to this quantity, after that they will stop dividing that group into further subgroups. After the minimum number of subgroups have been created, the maximum number of subgroups have been created, then there will be no subdivisions of the group. Okay, and at night all the subgroups come to the same habitat and combine through the fusion operation. Okay, and in this way this social structure based animals forage their food. First, on the basis of food availability, the fusion operations are performed by the global leader. Okay, and at night, when maximum number of subgroups have already been created, they return back to their habitat. Okay, and they fuse all the subgroups, fuse to make a large group. Okay, in another morning, in next day, they again start this fusion based food foraging pattern. Okay, subgroups also further subgroups are also supposed to be led by a female local leader who becomes a decision maker. And when a large group is divided into two groups, then again a female leader of that group is considered as a local leader. Now we have a two leader. Okay, we have a two leader. One is the local leader and another is global leader. Okay, initially we have only one leader, global leader, but after division, the large group into the smaller subgroup, you have a two leader. One the leader who controls the local subgroup is considered as a local leader, and the best leader in whole swarm is considered as a global leader. Okay, so these are the basic terminologies of the fusion based social animals. Now in this diagram we can see that here we have a large group of spider monkeys. Okay, they will start foraging, food foraging. The best female will be elected as the leader of that group. Okay, now as we have only one group, so it will be same. The local leader and the global leader both will be the same. Then they find their food sources, and in case of scarcity, if not enough food, then global leader, here the global leader divides the group into smaller subgroups. Global leader divides the group into smaller subgroups. Okay, here you can see that this is the local leader and this is the also a local leader, but as this is the best one individuals in this swarm, so it will be the global local leader as well as the global leader. Okay, again if we have a scarcity of food, then the local leader of the group guide the respective group members for the foraging. The local leader now guide its own group, okay, in which direction the food should be searched. Okay, again if there is a food scarcity, then the group is further subdivided into even more smaller subgroups. And if we already have formed the maximum number of groups, it means that already in the subgroup there are 3 to 8, or it should be in algorithm part, it should be 10 members. Okay, so if there are 10 members already have been created such kind of subgroups, in that case we make a fuse operation, and all the subgroups are combined to make a large group. Okay, if we will see it in terms, you may see that if this is our search space, and let's suppose it's our global optima. if we will divide this swarm S1, S2, S3, S4, S5, S6, S7, S8. Let's suppose this is the one swarm, this is another swarm. Let's suppose here the third swarm, S9, S10, S11, S12. Okay. So if they will search, let's suppose third. So if they will search, this individual will search, then they may perfectly explore the search space as well as exploit the given search boundaries. Okay, explore the search area in the given search boundaries. So in view that they may properly exploit the given area, as well as explore the search space. This fusion social structure based strategy is considered as an effective. It may be an effective strategy to get the solutions in desirable time and efficiently. Okay, that's why on the basis of this phenomena, the design algorithm is called the spider monkey optimization algorithm. Algorithms. Okay, here you may see that the local leader and global leader is guiding the solutions to search the optimum solution. Okay, so here the first phase is the local leader phase and global leader phase. Then here global leader is taking decision as well as local leader is also taking decisions. Local leader is guiding towards to the solutions to the from where they may get the more food. Okay, so here it is a local leader decision, and global leader is dividing the whole group into subgroups. Okay, so this will be the global leader decision. Okay, further you may see that the best individual, the best monkey, okay, the best female monkey is considered as the global leader of that group. So here you may see that we are electing the local leaders as well as global leaders. So this process is called the local leader learning and global leader learning. So you may see that we have a 6 phases: 1 local leader phase, global leader phase, local leader learning, global leader learning, and local leader decision and global leader decision. On the basis of this food foraging behavior, that is based on the fusion social structure pattern, we have the 6 phases in spider monkey optimization algorithm. First is the local leader phase, second is global leader phase, the third one is the local leader learning phase, global leader learning phase, local leader decision phase, and global leader decision phase. These 2 phases are used to update the positions of the solutions. Now I am using terminology solution, okay, in place of the spider monkey or individual. Okay, solutions. Okay, spider monkey means here we will now call it them as solutions. Okay, so these local leader phase and global leader phase, these 2 phases will be used to update the positions of the solutions. Okay, the third, these are the election. Here we will perform the election. The better one will be considered. Better one will be elected as the leader. Okay, and these 2 are the decision phase. So on the basis of food scarcity, the leaders will take decisions, but here in algorithm when we will consider that there is any stagnation or premature premature convergence type situation. On that situation, that two phases will help to get rid of or to avoid these two situations. Okay, so on that situation, we will apply the local leader decision phase and global leader decision phase. Okay, as you know that that if all the members if all the members will converge to a particular location, let's suppose this is our diagram. Okay, this is a graph, and if all the members will converge here, so to now get rid of this situation, there should be some fluctuation. There should be some fluctuation in this swarm, in this population. Okay, there should be some fluctuation, so that disturbance will diversify. That disturbance will diversify the swarm into the search space, in the other parts of the search space. Okay, so let's suppose we introduce this fluctuation. We will just select some individuals and randomly initialize in the other part of the search area, or now again we will start the solution search process. So there may be chance that the individual may get our global optima. Individuals may get the global optima. There may be chance. Okay, so this disturbance, this fluctuation, it's a very important part of these natural spiral algorithms. This fluctuation is very important part in these natural spiral algorithms, and basically this decision phase, these two phases helps to introduce this kind of fluctuation. First, this will divide the population into the subparts, and another will either randomly initialize or give some directions so that the individuals or solutions may distract from the existing location and may move towards our global optimum places. Okay, and the first phase is the initialization. As we know that this is the common phase, common stage in all the algorithms. So it is not considered as a phase in SMO. Okay, here you may see that all the individuals will be randomly initialized in the given search space using this equation. Here, this is the maximum range of the search space. This is the minimum part. Then it will be multiplied by this random number between 0 to 1, and we will add such range into the minimum search boundary. Okay, to get the random locations of n solution. Okay, now the first phase of SMO, spider monkey optimization algorithm, is the local leader phase. In this phase, the individuals will update their position using this equation. Individuals will update their position using this equation. Okay, here this is the persistence. Persistence means the individuals its own positions, its individual's current position. The individual SMI is the solution which is going to update its position. SMI is the solution which is going to update its position. Okay, so it's persistent, and this is the step size. Okay, so now we will add the step size into this persistence, and you can see that in this step size there are two components. One is the LLKJ minus SMIJ. Okay, and another is SMRJ minus SMKJ. Okay, so this is the first component, is the local leader influence. It means the ith spider monkey or ith solution is attracting towards the local leader of that group. Ith spider monkey, it is a vector difference. You know that a vector difference AB vector equals to OB vector minus OA vector. Okay, A vector A is attracting towards the B. If we will talk about this one now. Okay, A to B. A vector is attracting towards the B. So here ith solution, because we know that the local leader will be at the better positions than this individual. this individual. That's why the local leader was elected. Okay, the best individual of that group is considered as the local leader. So that's why here we are multiplying it with the positive random component. Positive random component. Okay, positive random component, because we know that the local leader will be at the better positions than the I solution. Okay, the other component that is called the social influence. Other component of the step size, that is the social influence, in which the ith spider monkey which is going to update its position, ith spider monkey which is going to update its position is attracting towards the R solution. It is a randomly selected solution. SMR is the randomly selected solution. Okay, SMR is the randomly selected solution, and we don't know that which one is the better. That's why here the multiplication is with uniform random number between -1 to 1. So this is the step size, and using this step size, the next positions of the solution will be decided. Using this step size, the next position of the solutions will be, the solution I solution will be decided. Okay, the pseudocode of this local leader phase is given here. You may see here that the dimensions in our example fx equals to x1 square plus x2 square. Okay, fx equals to x1 square plus x2 square. So we have a two dimension x1 and x2, and the solution was, let's suppose the first solution was -3.2 and 1.7 for -5 to 5 such space. Okay, so here which dimension will be updated? This is the first dimension of the solution, and this is the second dimension of the solution. So here which dimension? So we will give chance to every dimension to update itself. Here in the local leader phase, we will give chance to every dimension of every solution, to get update. Okay, but that dimension will update or not, it will depend on this condition. Okay, this is the perturbation rate. PR is the perturbation rate. Okay, so if let's suppose the perturbation rate PR value of PR is 0.5. VR of PR is 0.5. It's the range of perturbation is from 0 to 1. Okay, so let's suppose the value of PR 0.5, then there will be 50% chance to get this condition true. We will generate a random number U01. It is a random number between 0 to 1. Random number between 0 to 1. So we will generate a random number between 0 to 1. We will compare this random number with this perturbation rate, and if this condition is true, then that dimension will be updated using this equation. Okay, that dimension will be updated using this equation, and if this condition is false, then we will directly copy the existing value in the new solution. We will directly copy the existing value of the ith solution in the new ith positions of the new solution. Okay, so perturbation basically it is now clear that perturbation rate will decide that how much disturbance we are creating in the particular solution. Okay, so I hope this phase is clear to all of you. In this phase, we will give chance to all the solutions. First thing, we will give chance to all the solutions to update their positions. Second, we will give chance to all the dimensions also to get update. Okay, and this chance will depend on this PR. The chance to dimensions will depend on this PR. This is the perturbation rate. Okay, so after this process, we will get new solutions Then we will apply, we will calculate the fitness. We will calculate the fitness of all the solutions. Telling you about the concept of fitness. Okay, yeah, yes. Here we have a 5 solutions. Okay, S1, S2, S3, S4 and S5, and these are the objective values. Okay, then we calculate if we are solving the minimization problems. Okay, in that case the fitness function fx equals to fitness function will be fx equals to 1 upon 1 plus fit, sorry, yeah, not fx, it's a fit x equals to 1 upon 1 plus fi if fi is greater than 0, else 1 plus absolute value of fi, else it means if fi your less than 0, it's a fi. Okay, so here it is clear that if we have a high value of fi means this is the objective value. Fi means objective value. Okay, so for this the first solution, the fitness will be fit first will be 1 upon 1 plus 19. Let's suppose it is 0.005. Okay, this is for fit 2. Let's say 1 upon 1 plus 16. Let's suppose it is a 0.07. Yeah, 8. It's a fit 3. 1 upon 1 plus 12. It will be 0.0. Sorry, it's 8. Fit 4. 1 upon 1 plus 20, it's a 0.04. And fit 5, 1 upon 1 plus 21. I am not calculating, I am assuming these values, you may calculate it. Okay, 1 upon 1 plus, sorry, it will be 0.03, or we can say 3, 4, 8, 5. Okay, so the highest fitness solution is this one, S3. This is the highest fit solution. Okay, now after calculating this fitness, we will calculate this probability, probi. We will calculate this probability, probi. It is a function of fitness. How we will calculate? 0.9 into fit I upon 0.9 into fit I upon maximum fitness plus 0.1. 0.9 into fit I upon max fit plus 0.1. Okay, so here you may see that the range of probi, what will be the range? Range of this probi will be 0.1 to 1, 0.1 to 1. The minimum value will be 0.1 and the maximum will be 0.9. For the first solution, for this one it will be 0.9 into 0.8, its own fitness, and we can see that the maximum fitness in this swarm is also 0.8. So here 0.8 plus 0.1, so it will be 1. Okay, so the highest for the highest fit solution, the probability will be 1, and for the low fit solutions it will the value of, if we have a very low fitness like 0, and for that the value of probi will be 0.1. Okay, so basically probi is basically telling us about the fitness, about the goodness of the solutions, how a solution is better. Okay, because we cannot identify, there is no another such methods by which we can say that this solution is better, how much this solution is better than the other solutions. Okay. Now, one thing I told you earlier, that these algorithms are compared. These algorithms are compared on the basis of function evaluations, and the algorithm which takes less number of function evaluations, less number of function evaluation is considered as the efficient algorithm. Is considered as the efficient algorithm. The algorithm which will take the less number of function evaluations. So we have to save the number of function evaluations. Okay, our one task is to save. Okay, we have to get the optimum solution in the less number of function evaluations. We have to get the optimum solution in less number of function evaluations. Okay, and to save, if let's here I am taking an example. Okay, let's suppose this is the, it was our search space and it was our optima. Okay, S1, S2, S3, S4, S5. If I will give chance to every solution to update its position, then let's suppose the next position will be S1 dash, S2 dash, S3 dash, S4 dash, and it will be S5 dash. Okay, so here one iteration complete. Now I am again giving a chance to all the solutions to update their positions. Let's they are moving S1 double dash, the new positions of S2 double dash, S3 double dash, S4 double dash, and let's suppose it's moving here S5 double dash. Okay, this is the second iteration. After that, if I will give one more chance, let's suppose they will reach to the global optima. They will reach to the our true solutions in the next. It means in the third iterations. And how many chances I have given? 3 chances. Let's suppose S1 reached at the global optima in 3 chances to update itself. Instead of this, if instead of this, in a single iteration, let's, it was our solution. It was S1, S2, S3, and S4, S5. If I give chance 3 chance in a first iteration, 3 chance to this one S1 dash, S2 double dash, and one chance S2 dash and S2 double dash. Here I am giving 3 chance to this S1. Okay, S1, and 2 chance to this S2. So total number of chances are 5. So instead of giving chances of these 3 solutions, I am giving 3 chances to this S1 and 2 chances to this S2, and I will get the optimum solution in a first iteration. In a single iteration, I will get the optimum solution in this single iteration. Okay, so in this way, here you can see that the number of function evaluations will be 5. Number of function evaluations will be 5. So in this way, in 5 function evaluations, I will get the optimum solution. But here you can see here the number of function evaluations will be 15. 15 times you have to evaluate the new solutions. Function evaluation means evaluating the new solutions. Evaluating the new solutions. Okay. Why I am discussing this? Because the same concept is applied. Because the same concept is applied in the global leader phase. In global leader phase, we are not giving chances to all the solutions to get updated. Okay, because we have to save the function evaluation, so we are giving here in this phase, we are giving more chances to the high fit solutions. We are giving more chances to the high fit solutions in comparison to the low fit solutions. Okay, so that it may be possible that we can get the global optima in early iterations, in less number of iterations or less number of function iterations. And for that, how we will identify that which solution is better and which solution is not better, we will identify through this probability. That is a function of fitness. Okay. First, we will calculate the fitness of the individuals. Then we will get this probability of every solution. Okay. And after getting this probability, we will update the positions. We will update the positions of the individuals by using this equation. Here you can see it is a very similar equation as mentioned in the local leader phase. Only difference is that in place of local leader, here we have a global leader. It means the ith solution will be attracted towards the global leader. Ith solution will be attracted towards the global leader. It means learning from the global leader. Okay. Here again it is the same. Here the learning from the randomly selected neighboring element. Okay. It is the same as mentioned in the local leader phase. Okay. So here the ith solution is attracting towards the, that's why it's a negative, and here it is a positive, and this is again, this is the our step size. This is our step size and it's a persistence. So using this equation, the individuals will get update. Here you may see that another difference is that here we will not give chance to every dimension. We will update only one dimension at a time. Okay. So here that dimension will be selected randomly. That dimensions will be selected as in our example, fx equals to x1 square plus x2 square. Okay. So the dimension here we have a two dimension x1 and x2. So any one dimension that will be selected randomly will get chance to update itself. Okay. Now who will get chance? Which solution will get chance? This condition here. There is a disturbance in background. Yeah, this, hello?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Yeah. So this provide will decide that which solution will get chance to update itself. As we know that for the high fit solutions, the value of this provide is higher as compared to the low fit solutions. Okay. And here this is the random number between random number between 0 to 1. It is a random number between 0 to 1. So for high fit solutions, let's suppose the best one, the probability value will be 1. So for any random number, the condition will be true, and the counter here, this is the counter basically which is showing, this is a counter which is showing that the number of updates. So we are now giving chance. So a counter will be incremented by 1. We will select a random dimension and neighboring element, neighboring solution. Okay, and that dimension will be updated using this equation, which already we have discussed. Okay, if this condition is false, then we will give chance to the next one for I equals 2. So first I equals to 1, we will give chance to the first solution. I equals to 2 for second, I equals to 3 for third one. Okay, and for the solutions for which the solution, this condition is true, their solutions will get chance to update themselves. If we will reach at the last nth solution and the number of update is still, count is the number of update and GS is the total number of solutions available in that group. So if count the number of update is less than the total number of solutions, then we will again start from the 1. So if I is equal to the number of solutions, then we will again start from the 1 and we will again give chance from starting. So it may be possible that the some solutions will get chance 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, and someone will not get chance even a single time. Okay, the high fit solutions may get chance more as compared to the low fit solutions. So this strategy is used basically to save the number of function evaluation and to get the early optimum solution. Okay. Further, I want to say that the next phases are very important. I hope these two are clear. Global leader and local leader, global leader and local leader phases. These two phases are used basically to update the individuals. Okay, to update the individuals. Now we have two phases. These are very simple phase. Global leader learning phase and local leader learning phase. Global leader learning phase and local leader learning phase. These are basically GD selection mechanism in which the best individuals in the global leader learning phase, we will apply the GD selection, okay, among all the individuals, all the solutions of the swarm, and the best fitness, the solution having the best fitness or best optima objective value is selected as the global leader. And if the new solution, if the new global leader or new, I can't say the global leader, if the global leader is not updated itself, it means in the new swarm, new group, new members, no one is better than the old one. Okay, if there is no update, then global limit count is incremented by 1. It is a very important thing. Okay, global limit count, in that case global limit count is incremented by 1. Okay, if in a one iteration the global leader will be same as as it was in the previous iteration, then the global limit count will be incremented by 1. Okay, in next iteration also, if the global leader not updated itself, then again we will increment the global limit count. Okay, and this continues until the global leader update itself, or once the global leader update itself, this counter is set to 0. This set to 0. Once the global leader update itself, this counter is set to 0. Again, if the global leader will not update itself, it's again +1, +1, +1. So basically what it is showing, it is showing global limit count is showing continuous number of iterations by which continuous number of iterations by which the global leader not updated itself. Global leader not updated itself. It shows the continuous number of iterations. Once the global leader update itself, the counter set to 0. Okay, basically this counter will help to the global leader, okay, to take decisions. As I told you that when these solutions prematurely converge to a particular point or stagnated to a particular point, in that case we have to introduce some fluctuation. We have to introduce some fluctuation so that there should be a proper diversification in the swarm, and the swarm may get the our optimum solution. Okay, so basically this global limit count will help the global leader to take decisions. And the next phase is our local leader learning phase. In this phase, the position of local leader is updated by applying the GD selection. Again, the best individual in a particular local group is considered as the local leader in that group. Okay, and if the local leader will not update itself, it means the same local leader will act. New local leader will not elected. Okay, yeah, local leader will not update itself. Then this counter local limit count is incremented by 1. Local limit count is incremented by 1. So here it is also a continuous, this local limit count also showing the continuous number of iterations by which the local leader is not updated itself. Here local limit count is showing the continuous number of iterations by which the local leader is not updating itself. Okay, and this local limit count will help the local leader to take the decision. The global limit count helps the global leader to take the decision, and like the same way the local limit count will help the local leader to take the decision. So these two are the very simple phases in which we elect the global and local leader, and we also update this counter that shows that the global leader or local leader are updating themselves or not. If they are not updating themselves, it means if local leader is not updating itself, it means we will consider that local group is stuck at somewhere. That's why the local leader is not updating its positions. Okay, if the global leader is not updating its position, then we will consider that that particular large group is stuck at some particular place. That's why the global leader is not going to update its positions. Okay, so basically these two factors, global limit count and local limit count, basically these two factors shows the scarcity of food. These two counter shows the scarcity of food. Global limit count also shows the scarcity of food, and local limit count also shows the scarcity of food to their respective leaders. Okay, so the fifth phase is the local leader decision phase. Fifth phase is the local leader decision phase. Okay, so if that local limit count, this counter, okay, this counter showing that the in continuous number of iterations the local leader is not updated itself. So if local limit count is crosses its threshold, and threshold is the local leader limit. Threshold is it is a predefined threshold. Okay, local leader limit. If that local limit count is crosses this threshold, local leader limit, if local limit count is crosses or more than the this threshold local leader limit, in that case the local leader will take decision, have to take decision, because now the situation is the scarcity of food in terms of food foraging behavior of the spider monkey. Okay, in that case the local leader will think that she is not at the best position. Okay, and as she is not updating itself, so the members of that particular subgroup should move towards the global leader. Okay, and should distract from herself, so that they may get out of this situation of this stagnation. Okay, so here the individuals either individuals sm new ij equals to randomly initialize in the search space sm max and min, either randomly initialize in the search space the dimensions, or they will update using this equation, in this equation you may see that the ith spider monkey ith solution is attracting towards the global leader solution. Okay, that's why it's a positive. Again the llk is attracting towards r is not attracting to the local leader. Okay, local leader is attracting towards the here it is not r, it is I. Local leader is attracting towards the ith solution. Okay, that's why it is a positive. We are multiplying with the positive random number here. Okay, so basically local leader is distracting all the solutions from herself to and towards the global leader solution, Okay, so this is the decision in this the pseudocode of this local leader decision phase is given here in this slide. You may see that all the dimensions of the solutions will be initialized using these two equations. Okay, Okay, either on the basis of this PR, perturbation rate. Let's suppose PR equals to 0.5. We will generate a random number between 0 to 1. If it will be greater than this 0.5, then we will randomly initialize that dimension. Otherwise we will update the dimension using this equation. So in the local leader decision phase, the dimensions of the solutions, here we have in our example fx equals to x1 square plus x2 square. We have a two-dimension problem. Okay, one is the x1 and x2. So these dimensions either the dimension will be randomly initialized, or they will be updated using this equation. Either they will be randomly initialized or they will be updated using this equation, okay, on the basis of this probability. So now you can see how much disturbance we are creating in the existing solutions. We are randomly initializing the dimensions, as well as we are changing the search directions of the individuals. So the situation of now, if this is the situation, and all the individuals if stuck here, then using this disturbance, they may be diversified in the other locations. They may be diversified in the other locations of the solution search space. So whenever this trigger occurred, this local limit count, whenever this trigger occurred, the local limit count of kth group is greater than the local leader limit, we will reinitialize all the members of that particular subgroup. We will reinitialize all the members of that particular subgroup. Okay, so all the members now will search in the different directions. So this is a very important stage in spider monkey optimization algorithm, and it will help to get rid of the stagnation situation. Okay, so the last stage of spider monkey optimization algorithm is the global leader decision phase. It is the global leader decision phase, and again the counter, global leader count, global limit count, that shows the global leader is not updating itself in a continuous such number of continuous iterations, and if it is greater than the predefined value global leader limit, predefined threshold global leader limit, then this will trigger, and global leader have to take decision. In this phase, the position of global leader is monitored, and if it is not updated up to a predetermined number of iterations called the global leader limit, then the global leader divides the population into smaller subgroups. What decision it will take? It will divide the the large group into the smaller subgroup. So first, the population will be divided into the 2 groups, and then 3 groups, and so on, till the maximum number of groups are formed. So in this phase, we will create the sub-parties, subgroups from the large group. So every time this phase will occur, or the global leader take decision, we have also called the local leader decision phase. Okay, local leader learning phase. Sorry, we have also called the local leader learning phase, so that the new leaders may be elected. Of that sub-parties, in that subgroups. Okay, so each time in the GLD phase, local leader learning process is initiated to elect the local leaders in the newly formed groups. At the case in which the maximum number of groups are already formed, we already have created the maximum number of subgroups. In that case, all the subgroups will come to the same habitat and make all will be fused and make a large single group. So even then the position of global leader is not updated. The case in which the maximum number of groups are formed, and even then the position of global leader is not updated, then the global leader combines all the groups to form a single group. Okay. So this is the pseudocode. Here you can see that if global limit count is greater than the global leader limit, it crosses this threshold, then we will reset it 0. And if we will check that the number of groups is less than maximum groups, then we will divide the population into the subgroups. Otherwise, we will combine all the groups to make a single large group. Okay, and this is important. We will call the local leader learning phase, and update the positions of the local leaders. We will update the positions of the local leaders. Okay, so this is the flow chart of this spider monkey optimization algorithms. We already have covered. These are the steps forms. Okay. These are necessary and sufficient conditions. We will, yeah, these are the important thing, control parameters. The first thing is the maximum group. Maximum group is equals to n upon 10. Here n is your swarm size, swarm or population size. Let's suppose the population size is 50. In that case, n upon 10, maximum group will be 50 upon 10 equals to 5. Maximum groups will be 5. Okay, so you can create maximum 5 subgroups. Then another thing is the global leader limit. This is the threshold, and you have to fine tune this parameter. The range of this parameter is n by 2 to 2n. Here we are considering n is 50, so here it will be 25 to 100. What value will suit to your optimization problem? Okay, you have to fine tune this accordingly. You may do the sensitivity analysis of this parameter also. Okay, the another thing is the local leader limit. Its value is fixed d into n. Here d is the dimension of the problem, and n is your again swarm size. So here it will be for if we will take our example x1 square plus x2 square. For that, as it is a two-dimension problem, so for that 2 into 50 it equal to 100. The value of local leader limit, this threshold will be 100. The value of global leader limit, it will vary from 25 to 100. Okay, it is a perturbation rate, and its range will be from 0.1 to 0.9. It may be constant or linearly changing. Depends, again, it depends upon your problem. Depends upon your problem. No doubt here we have four parameters that is required to fine tune before applying to our optimization problem. So an algorithm which should be less number of parameters is considered as efficient algorithm. So you may consider it as a drawback of this spider monkey optimization algorithm, that you have to fine tune these four parameters. But again, despite of this drawback, it is an efficient algorithm to solve the single and multimodal problems. So I hope we will discuss. It's an assignment for you. If you can solve just for one or two iteration, Okay, do this one. Consider this problem x1 square plus x2 square for the population size 20. It's a two-dimensional problem. Maximum number of group 2. Local global leader limit, keep it 30. Local leader limit, it will be your 2 into 20, 40. Okay, perturbation rate, keep it fixed 0.7, and calculate the swarm size. Even you may keep this uniform random number 0.1 to 0.4. Okay, now calculate it, do your homework. You will better get the working of spider monkey optimization algorithms. So it's over from my side. Now I request the participants for the query session. If there is any problem, any query in this of this session, please ask.
Hello. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah. Sir, can you forward your talk on the difference between hybrid algorithms and your SMO?
I'm not getting a hybrid algorithm and
SMO, because in the hybrid algorithm also we are dividing the population size and all that, and same thing as a local limit and global limit. you are also dividing the population sizes?
Which kind of hybrid algorithm? Is there any algorithm
Yeah,
exists by the name of hybrid algorithm?
PSO, PSO or GA like that. Say suppose if you divide the 50% population for PSO and 50% population for GA, genetic algorithm. So
Yeah.
in the SMA also you are dividing the population size. Say.
Actually, what happens? The division of population. Okay, it's yes, as you are saying that in the hybridized algorithm. Let's suppose in
Yeah.
PSO and ABC. I have seen many algorithms in which the PSO first we apply the PSO. Okay, we apply PSO. The individuals will update. Individuals will update their positions using this particle swarm optimization. Okay. Okay, and after that we will update the individuals on the basis of fitness using this ABC algorithm, using this ABC algorithm. So this is a this is the two-way learning process
अच्छा.
in which we are updating individuals using this strategy as well as in the other ABC strategy. Okay,
अच्छा.
but in SMO, SMO,
Sir,
it's not a
so,
division of population. It's not
sir,
a
you are not
division of.
properly audible. Hello, sir.
I think that there is some disturbance in the background. Dr. Vivek, from your side. Yeah. Hello, am I audible?
Yes,
Not
sir, you're
properly.
audible.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So in the hybridized algorithms, there is no division of population. One population, the same population that will evolve themselves, the same population that will evolve themselves using the one strategy also go through with the another strategy. Also go through with the another strategy. Okay. This is the one kind of hybridization. In the another kind of hybridization, okay, you may divide the population. Let's suppose we have a 50, that is the swarm size. Okay, now you will apply the
20,
PSO for the 25 and the ABC for the 25.
20. Yes, sir.
Okay, so
Ah,
this is the one kind of hybridization. This is the another kind of hybridization. Okay, here also you will update these 25 members using this strategy. These 25 members, okay, using this strategy. Then you will combine these 50 members. Okay, you will combine. You again divide. You are again in next iteration. You will again divide these individuals on the basis of any strategy that is available in that particular hybridized algorithm. Okay, and these iterations repeats themselves. Okay,
yes.
so yeah, so in these two kind of hybridizations, the position update process of different individuals are different. Okay,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
one can say the birds are learning from the monkeys. You can say birds are also learning. Birds are not learning from themselves. They are also learning from the foraging behavior of monkey, and monkey is also learning from the school of fish, foraging behavior in the school of fish. Okay, so these two hybridization are totally different. But the spider monkey optimization in the homogeneous kind of solution, such process is applied in which the population divides intelligently on the basis of a threshold, a trigger occurred. Okay, and that trigger is also decided. The trigger is also decided uh, on the basis of number of update. Okay, that the solutions or individuals are stagnated or not at a particular location. Okay, or and here we in the SMO, the location is identified. Sorry, the situation is identified if the key solutions are not updating themselves, if the key solutions are not updating themselves up to that particular threshold, then we will consider that the solutions are stagnated. So this is the actually the initialization process is same in all the algorithms. I already told. Okay.
Yeah, you explain that.
What is the difference? Only the position. The difference is only in the position update process. Nothing else. If you will remove the step size calculation phenomena, okay, then all the algorithms will be looks alike. Okay, all the algorithms will be considered as a same algorithm. Okay, I hope it's clear to you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Next, if anyone, next query.
Hello, sir. Good evening. It is not a query, actually, a small request from my end. Myself, Dr. Banu Prakash, professor in KL University, Andhra Pradesh. Sir, is it possible, like, can you provide your contact details so that we can include your name for thesis examiner? It is possible because I would like to ask, request organizers to provide at least email address of all the speakers.
Yeah, sure.
So that, yeah.
Even I think in my first slide it was mentioned now. So
Yes,
you
sir.
just mail me if you have any query also. You can mail. Oh, it's not here. Oh, okay, I'm writing here.
Don't worry,
If
Doctor.
anyone
Don't worry,
has-
Dr. Harish. We will share the details, whatever the participants will ask.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. That's so nice of you. Thank you.
Regarding the lecture, if any queries.
Sir, good evening, sir. Sir, is it possible to share the recording, sir?
Sir, definitely, we are already working on it. You may get it
Yes, sir. Yes,
by,
sir.
yeah.
Yeah,
it
yes,
is
sir.
there.
Yes, sir. I have received, sir. I have received, sir.
So
Thank you very much, sir.
for this session also, we will provide you.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
I think there is no such now. Yeah. Yes. Good evening.
Sir, I'm working in the research area of influence maximization on social networks.
Yeah.
So can you suggest some algorithm which can be used in this direction of optimization?
Any algorithm you may choose because these are all meta heuristics. But the first thing is that you have to properly design the mathematical model of your problem. If you have designed your mathematical model, then any algorithms can be easily applied. Okay, even you may share your mathematical model with me, I will suggest you. But first design your mathematical model properly. The main thing is not the algorithm. You know, the main thing is here your problem which you want to solve using these algorithms. If you are fully aware of your problem, okay, then you can easily solve that using these algorithms. So even you may share with me your optimization problem. I will suggest. Okay.
Fine, sir. Fine. Thank you, sir.
Sir. Hello, sir.
Yes, please. Yes.
Say suppose, sir, I'm giving you the mathematical model. Say suppose FOPDT, first order plus date time, or SOPDT model like that. Second order plus date time model and all that. Okay. So very basic question, because for these models for laboratory system, I have done the modeling of that system also. Okay. But very basic question in my mind is that how we have to decide which algorithm is better for my improving the system performance. Very basic question. Yeah.
It's a very good.
Yes,
Yeah.
because I applied ABC algorithm, MOPSO algorithm, NSGA2 algorithm, and very recently the Jaya algorithm also I have implemented for the process control systems. Okay, but I'm very thankful to you because today I learned a new algorithm, that is SMO. I will try to implement that also. But very basic is that say suppose in the initial phase I have compared NSGA2 and MOPSO. In that I got the NSGA2 is better than the MOPSO. In the second, Jaya algorithm it is better than the remaining one. So this process will be continue, and what I mean to say you, what type of can I get this one? Which algorithm is better for my process control system? Rough idea.
Yeah. So your problem is unimodal or multimodal problem?
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Multi-objective function.
Okay. So yeah.
I'm using
Okay.
I'm using 5 different objective functions. So in that case, which, as per your opinion, which algorithm gives you the better performance? Because more recently is the Jaya algorithm, which is called as a parameterless optimization algorithm, and very small parameters will have to supply with that Jaya algorithm. But here, what NIs are there? Algorithm specific parameters are there. Again, control parameters are there. Means so many parameters are there, and I think there is a interactions within these parameters. So, what is your opinion as far as this problem it is concerned?
Yeah. Actually, what happens that if you have an algorithm, okay, parameterless, as you are saying the J algorithm you are using, okay. So for that,
Your sound is not coming properly, sir.
Hello,
Please.
am I audible? Hello,
Hello.
am I audible now?
No,
Hello.
sir. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Vivek, am I audible? Ishika?
Yes,
Hello?
sir, you're audible. I think there is a problem in the person's network connection.
Actually, hello, if you are using ABC or JR, okay, you have to first fine tune. Fine tune, if you can see my screen, fine tune, my screen visible now?
Yes, sir.
Hello? Yeah, fine tune the parameters. And for that, the one thing is the sensitivity analysis. Sensitivity analysis. Any algorithms, you may use any algorithms if you will properly sensitivity analysis, you will do the proper sensitivity analysis of your parameters, then every algorithm perform in a same way. Every algorithm will perform in the same way. Okay. In case of multi-objective function, okay, you have NSGA already have been applied. Then you may apply PSO, you may try PSO, you may try ABC, you may try your GR. All the algorithms I think perform better. There will be no difference. Only difference is that the sensitivity analysis should be proper. Okay, if you will keep, actually, whenever the researchers compare these algorithms, they keep the parameter settings old. They use the old parameter settings. They use the old parameter settings, but parameter settings are always problem dependent. Parameter settings are always problem dependent. Okay, so choose proper parameter settings. You will get the good answers. You will get the good results. Is it clear?
There is one more question. Shanu Solanki from NITTT Chandigarh. Sir, when we are looking for implementation, I'm working in open source language Python. So is it good for implementation with respect to meta-heuristic algorithms or nature-inspired algorithms, or MATLAB is preferable?
No, Python is the best one. You actually, I am doing my work in C++. Okay, I am using
Okay,
C++, but Python and MATLAB. Python is the best one because there are many inbuilt libraries already available in that one. Okay, and language no bar. This is the concepts. These are a very simple algorithms you can easily implement. Okay, in initial semesters of our MTech students, they implement all these algorithms. Okay, so you can easily implement these algorithms in Python. Even most of the code of most of the algorithms are already available in Python. So Python is the best one. You go with Python, no problem.
can you,
Sir,
recommend any good book for nature-inspired algorithms, sir?
No
Other
required
than
any
the
book. There are a lot of material available in the internet. Okay. Even the spider monkey optimization, we have created a website for the SMO. You may just go through. If I hope it's visible, then smo.scrs. I hope the Python code is also available here. smo.scrs.in. Okay, this one. So here. Yeah, Python code is available here. SMO Python code, you may download it here from, okay. The SMO C++ code, MATLAB code, is it okay?
yes, sir. Yes, it's
Yeah, so
visible, sir.
and all the algorithms code available, ABC, PSO, all the algorithms code already available in Python. You have to just modify the position update process. As I told you that more than 90% research is going on in that phase only. Position, how a intelligent position update process is designed.
Fine, sir. Thank you, sir.
Sir, one small doubt
Okay,
from
thank
my end. Sir, is it we have to play some significant role in machine learning and deep learning approaches in with respect to particle swarm optimization?
Definitely, in initialization process, you may use these algorithms in machine learning when you give your input. So before, um, bes- besides giving random input, use these algorithms. Okay, so these algorithms will basically act as the initialization algorithms of your input parameters to your machine learning approaches, and that will definitely improve the results of your machine learning and deep learning approaches. Are you getting? The input should not be random. Input should be from these algorithms.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Basically, this will be the hybridization of the machine learning and nature inspired algorithms. Anyone, please? Ishika, I hope there is no queries now, so you may conclude.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for such an amazing session. We are fortunate enough to share the platform with you. It was a matter of sheer honor and great pride to have you with us. We all gained significant insights from today's session. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Vivek and Dr.
Yeah,
Ishika.
thank you, Dr. Harish, for joining us.